Vanuatu is a nation of 82 volcanic islands, 65 of which are inhabited. It's situated in the southwest Pacific at about 15 degrees south, about 750 miles west of Fiji, 400 miles northeast of New Caledonia, and about 2,250 miles northeast of Australia. The mostly Melanesian population of about 250,000 people subsists primarily on agriculture, tourism, offshore financial services, and grazing cattle. In 2006, the Happy Planet Index named it the happiest place on Earth. It's famous in the offshore fishing crowd for its abundant tuna, billfish, giant trevally, and other game fish. But before we could learn about any of that, we had to go to the market, get situated, make a few practice runs, and wait for weather before heading down south to New Caledonia. Pretty much just waiting for the winds to turn, or at least sort of calm down. And when that happens, we're going to boogie down south as fast as possible to a couple of southern islands in Vanuatu and then to New Caledonia, where we hope there will be, we have every reason to believe that there will be abundant bonefish and GTs, hopefully huge ones.
One strand and that's all it takes, huh? Throw it out.
Dan, my dad, is a lifelong sailor who captained a sailboat from Massachusetts to the Galapagos when he was 19. At this point, he was newly retired and eager to help me in my debut film project, as well as spend some time on his new and rather nice 40-foot sailboat. For everyone except me and him, it was their first time on such a boat.
50th high five of the day. Okay. So we're heading through a really tricky pass here. Depth's going to go down to about 8 meters. Dan's on the bow, giving me directions, looking out for coral heads. 50 meters.
50.0.
Dan was more than a little bit stressed out having us four ruffians and all of our gear on board. As for us, we mostly partied in Port Vila, visited the local waterfalls, tied flies, and rigged gear. But we still had to wait on one thing, the thing that would emerge as one of the biggest challenges on our expedition, the wind.
It is day 7? What day is it? Day 6? We're just sort of chilling out, relaxing, biding our time. Time flies, rigging gear, and thinking about bonefish.
It wasn't even recording. This is what we've sunk to. You voyeurizing my email correspondence with my girlfriend. She's fine. Thank you very much. She misses me. Our next stop is going to be the island of Eromanga, which is also in Vanuatu. Population of 1,500. A couple of small villages. No tourist infrastructure. So it should be pretty interesting. We're looking forward to spending a few days there. Well, we're leaving. We're leaving Port Vila. The winds are still out of the southeast with a chance for an east-southeast. 15 to 20 knots. It's gonna be pretty rough. We each just took 2 Dramamine, and we're gonna do the best we can. We're trying to lock down the cabin right now so that shit doesn't go flying all around, and we'll just see how it goes. It'll just be good to get some shots where it's like, how do you feel? And the person's like, literally, this is the worst moment of my life. You know? It can be kind of hard to replicate that afterwards, genuinely.
Make it official. We're out of here.
I'm loving it.
You know, go as high as you can, you know? Go as high as you can without muffing the jib.
Your dad just tell us to get some
Ooh! Yeah! Stiffy lures, tackle mauler. Come on.
sailed through the night and got to this anchorage here in this beautiful spot. There's dolphins swimming all over the place. And we're gonna look for a GT.
Oh, dude!
There we go. There you go.
Yeah, baby!
We got Blake just hooked up on a GT, massive, massive popper take. This fish is towing us all around town.
So
He took it like a foot from the boat.
he was so
Literally
fired
a foot
up.
from the boat.
Oh my god.
Lift. Lift, dude. You got him. Yeah! That is a snapper. Look at that sucker. Oh, that's it. That's the handle. You got it. You got it, baby. Oh my god. Yeah! Holy shit, dude. I don't know how big that is, but he's huge. He's huge pounds. Good. I don't think any shark's gonna mess with him anyway.
Yeah! Woo-hoo-hoo! Yes. Oh man, I am shaking. That was insane. Absolutely insane.
A local named David came to visit us the next day. He was hard at work constructing, with very limited resources, the Wo Yacht Club, which he hoped would attract more tourism to Eromanga. You mind if I take?
Yeah, take a picture.
So this is the Wo Yacht Club.
Yeah.
David had become Eromanga's main tourism provider. He saw tourism as a way to diversify Eromanga's economy. So tourism is a good thing, huh?
Yeah.
You want more?
Yes, I like tourism because tourism is very. I interest to make tourism because tourists is bring the money in the country.
We made plans to have the whole crew come visit the next day. David took us on a hike through the mature hardwood forest, onto the beach, back through the forest and back onto the beach again, and so on. The hike traversed two extremely different habitats, country rarely seen by tourists. We walked through small outlying farms and witnessed that an Eromangan boy's most important toy is no toy at all.
Yeah, you just pinch the stick in half. Oh, he's pinching.
Our destination was a cave, but it was not just any cave. This was a cave that belonged to David's family.
When missionary come, and they bring every people together.
I see.
Come to Dillon's Bay and live our custom and culture.
Yes.
So today, our family, we live in Dillon's Bay, but our family is here.
I see.
So we go to see him.
Very interesting.
It's a third generation.
It's what, third generation?
Third generation. So every time when I think a stranger come here, so we have to respect
Yes.
for our old men here, and so we talk in the spirit. I talk with them in language before we go down.
Okay.
Ông tay kia các lính ông đàn là hai bên hết bao giờ tôi rồi, các anh các lính làm có mà vui, giờ tôi rồi một para các lính lắm, các làm con palong con của Marima giờ tôi rồi, các lính đến Navan làm có không, là hai người đang quy bên các lính tôi đi, palong.
I can take the light. Thank you, Charlie. No? No?
There were more bones resting in the upper cave. I think it would be good for me to see the bones of my ancestors once in a while. They're a very stark and obvious reminder of the fleetingness of life. While almost anybody I knew would be jealous of me sailing around the South Pacific, I had deep doubts about my undefined path in life. My friends were in medical school, law school, starting careers at the State Department and major news organizations. I was chasing fish that I wasn't even going to keep and recording it on an amateur camcorder. So seeing these bones was a welcome reminder that, in visiting these remote parts of Vanuatu, I was making good use of my brief time on this earth.
High five. High five.
High five this.
High five. High five.
You do it like this.
Yeah! Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.
So did Eromanga conform to Vanuatu's reputation as the world's happiest place? We came as tourists, so we can't really say. We only know what we saw, which was an island covered with trees, with no visible human suffering. So no matter how happy a place Eromanga really is, we can say with certainty that we were happier for having gone there. That night, David's family prepared a feast for us. There was delicious food, almost all of it grown on Eromanga. They sang for us, and David played the ukulele. I can't remember why I didn't film. Maybe we were getting low on batteries. I probably needed a rest from filming, and with fish blinders on, I didn't realize how much I would value such footage in the future. But in any case, it was a night that we won't forget, and it was among those relatively few times when I have seen my father cry.
So we're just leaving Eromanga. We had a great time here. Fishing was good in the beginning. Wound up not being as fruitful as we had hoped with the fly rods. We caught some on gear, on poppers. We took the treble hooks off, busted out the fly rods, teased them in.
We got a couple that way, had more success just fishing the plug or the popper. I think we got a good program. We just have to stick with it.
We had a good time, and we're excited to head south to Tana, which is what we're doing right now. Conditions are going to be a little bit rough, but not too bad. Unfortunately, the winds are still out of the southeast, which means that we have to beat to windward or something. And that's about it. I'm out.
From Eromanga, it was an overnight sail to Tana, population 29,000, one of the most populous islands in Vanuatu. Tana is famous for its active volcano, Mount Yasur, as well as its productive farmland and strong cultural traditions. Our main order of business on Tana was clearing customs so that we could leave Vanuatu and make way for New Caledonia. We hired a local truck taxi to take us across the island to Lenikel, where we also visited the market. On the way, we encountered the kava root.
Kava.
Smells like kava.
Kava, you say?
Kava, as in a mild narcotic, which is one of the essential features of Melanesian culture and South Pacific culture in general,
So how do you take it?
particularly in Vanuatu. Well, you get virgin males to chew the roots of the kava plant and extract the narcotic substance. They then expectorate the product into a bowl, and it's filtered and then consumed by the men in the evening.
So they get young guys to chew it, spit it out, and then the older guys drink it and get high off it?
Actually, that is exactly what happens.
What do you think about that, Blake? Think we should try it?
Let's give it a shot.
We had heard that Tana had some of the strongest kava in Vanuatu, and we were lucky to be invited to participate in the local nakamal, or kava drinking ceremony.
Just entered the nakamal, just the communal kava drinking area. Guys, the young boys are chewing up the kava, like masticating it, so they can like blend it into the drink, which we're gonna drink out of bowls.
We clean it with a knife, already clean up. So now this guy is chewing it. Yeah. So after chewing it, and then you get a picture how they mix it. Yeah. And how they drink it.
Why is it better to chew it than to use like a grinder or
Right.
something like that?
The iron. Yeah, and sometimes it spoil your body.
Uh-huh. Okay.
But the one we chew it is much better than the one, and it's very strong than the one we
Okay.
grind.
Yeah, thank you for letting us come and join me.
You're welcome.
I like kava pretty well and would probably drink it now and then if it were available. But the thing I like about kava culture the most is the communal aspect. In the US, there aren't that many occasions that bring the community, at least the male half, together on a regular basis. We had drunk the watered-down version, along with beer, in Port Vila, where Jeremy subsequently vomited. But here we drank the real thing. The kava buzz is quite pleasant. It's a mild euphoria with a calming sensation that makes you smile. It also produces a numbness in the mouth. It's not debilitating, but you can definitely feel it, and it feels good. After catching a pretty nice buzz, we visited the local volcano, Mount Yasser.
We just had some kava in Nakamal, and now properly chemically enhanced, we're gonna go to see a volcano and hopefully not get hit by flying pieces of lava streaming through the air over our heads. So we're stoked, and getting on towards being high as well. Getting crazy up in here.
So one thing Ben was saying is I was asking him if the kids get like fucked up from chewing it, and he was like, no. I was like, do they get a numb mouth? And he was like, yeah, they get a numb mouth. And
Yeah.
And the volcano is every 10 minutes or so, it's like sending up a giant explosive firework like lava display. And a couple times it's like shaking the earth as we're standing here on the rim. And that's kind of cool. Yeah, I mean, part of me like half wants it to really get big, and then the other half is like, no, this is good. This is probably good.
Jesus, look at that one disc.
So
Imagine if you were on that slope. Oh my! Heads up, guys, stand fast. Oh my god!
Oh my god.
It's like more than a little bit startling.
Oh my god, dude!
Holy shit!
This is phenomenal.
incredible.
There were no safety ropes or warning signs. Proceed further and death is certain. Stay where you are and death is possible.
So we're here in Port Resolution, Tana, in the south of Vanuatu. This is our jumping off point for New Caledonia. We're hoping it's just gonna blow our minds, you know? But we'll see. I've been in Vanuatu for over 2 weeks. I have not landed a fish yet. I'm getting a little frustrated. It'd be nice to land a fish on the trip.
We're pretty much betting the entire trip on New Caledonia at this point.
As our trip progressed, we had experienced the side effects of a clogged, pressurized holding tank. Basically, several weeks' worth of raw sewage had been sloshing around, fermenting, and every so often burping gas into Alex and Jeremy's cabin.
It smells like death, honestly. It smells like death down here.
There comes a point where this type of situation becomes unsustainable, and here, in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, we had reached that point.
Just woke up. We're somewhere in between Vanuatu and New Caledonia. Probably very close to the Loyalty Islands. Drinking some instant coffee, trying to get with the program. Ben is underwater right now, trying to unclog the drain from our toilet system. And we all really appreciate his effort with that. It sounds like it's a pretty tough and taxing and disgusting job. So hopefully that will abate the otherwise completely pervasive, obnoxious smell of shit that we've been dealing with for quite a while on the boat.
Ben, pull that one out.
I got it. Just a second.
I'm sorry. Is it full of stew? It looks like it's full of shit. The hose is full of shit, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's doing something, Ben. It's not. It's just the color of it. It won't hurt you. Just get it. Don't give up.
Get the shit.
That was real shit. Oh, fuck.
Is it coming out? Is it still coming? No, keep going. What? Get a movie. Get a film.
Oh my!
Yeah!
Oh!
My hero!
Oh!
My hero!
That's amazing! It's
It's like a fucking volcano.
Yeah, you're a hero!
It's like a fucking volcano, dude. Get it.
Oh! Lord!
Oh
Just
man!
keep going!
Oh my god! Oh my god! Look at that thing!
Oh my
pressure.
god!
Oh! Look at this!
I think the trolling's bunk. We haven't caught a damn thing. Got a couple islands here I'm feeling good about, getting closer to land and hopefully finding something to eat our plug. This trolling's been pretty slow. What do you think?
Doesn't get any slower than our trolling has been, really.
Yeah.
We were desperate for entertainment, and it was time for somebody to get pranked. Blake was one of the more intense fishermen we had ever met. That was his weakness. We knew that after over 100 miles of fruitless trolling, it would be easy to get him worked up. Enter a blue bucket.
Alright, so Blake is shaving right now. We're going to attach a bucket to his trolling rod, and he's going to reel in a bucket. Except now he's like walking around inside.
think it's down.
It's down.
It's down.
Fish on.
Fish on!
Fish
Blake!
Fish on!
Blake!
All right.
Someone grab the rod.
Fish! Oh my god, I got the camera running too, dude.
Oh yeah!
Oh, hook up!
I'm gonna come up to port. Okay?
Should I do something with the sail?
Alright, I'm running.
I'm not getting anything out of this. They're like huge. I'm not getting a head shake. Look, it's on the surface, whatever it is. See it?
No.
No.
See it? I'm dragging it.
Yeah. You crank on
Oh my
it?
god, dude, it's a sail! Is it?
I think I just saw a bill.
I still can't see it.
You like my half beer, dude? Yeah! Look out!
Caledonia, real
Yeah, baby! There we go.
Yeah!
What did you?
I still can't see it. Are you getting resistance?
No, not much.
You want the fighting belt?
Yeah, exactly. My balls are hurting.
It's like we knew when we got here, it was just gonna light up. It was just gonna start blowing
Pretty
up.
much we did. One way or another, there was going to be some action, I think, is what we were thinking. Right, guys?
Didn't know whether it was gonna be blue water or flats, but looks like it's gonna be both.
Come on, what is this? Oh, it's all lit up. It's like freaking wrapped or snagged or something. What is it? That's a freaking bucket, dude. What the hell? No, it's not. You guys! You assholes! You fucking assholes! You fucking dicks. Dan, I knew you were behind that.
Oh, it's amazing! Get the fighting belt, dude! It's all wrapped! It's all wrapped up or something! That's unbelievable! God!
Could not have been better.
Oh man! Shaving!
Oh my God!
God, he got so pumped up when he ran out of the bathroom.
They got me good. They got me good. Nice, guys.
That was the coolest thing I've ever
Oh,
seen.
water! Unbelievable!
We're passing among the Loyalty Islands on the north coast of New Caledonia, about 60 miles off New Caledonia itself. And we just saw a little tiny green flash. Did you see it just then? It actually flashed in that cloud.
What?
It really did.
Son of a
I've never
bitch.
actually seen that before. It's pretty subtle, but I know you guys don't believe me. Anyway, yeah, it's an extremely calm night. There's about 3 knots of northwest wind, not really enough to sail. We're eager to get into New Caledonia tomorrow, so we're under power, heading for Noumea, capital of New Caledonia.
What do we have tonight, Jeremy?
We got curry, Indian style, some coconut milk, ginger, garlic, onions, some tomatoes. Everything's from the can. Pretty simple tonight. We're underway, but everything's calm. We got the portals open. It's very pleasant down here. So I think it's gonna be tasty.
Later that night, Blake got some redemption.
Yeah, bud.
That ain't no bucket.
That ain't no bucket.
Ain't no bucket. Welcome to New Cal, baby.
There he is. Whoa!
Woo!
Dorado! That'd be fantastic. Perfect size. So we got round 2 here with an actual live fish. Yeah!
That's what you think, Blake.
Long time coming.
Pretty sure it's a Dorado.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh,
Oh wow!
Ready?
Look
Hold
how
on, hold on.
beautiful he is.
Yeah, he is really lit up. Kind of like the color of a blue bucket.
I don't like that bucket. They must have similar pigmentation. That head.
Get him! Yeah!
Woo!
Look at that!
excellent size.
Beautiful fish.
Okay, hang on, I want to put the cord on.
Yeah, baby. That's so beautiful.
Tuna toast.
Nice, dude. Yeah.
Is that your first mahi-mahi?
Yeah, baby.
Oh, wow.
You know.
Extraordinary fish.
Where do you hit them? Right here?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Smells like fish. That's a good thing.
Dinner is served.
Filet.
It's a shit ton of good fish, man.
You want to?
That's actually a relatively clean cut, I think.
All signs were good as we got closer to New Caledonia.
What's going on, Dan?
We're trolling. We're almost in Noumea. We're 20 miles from Noumea, well within the reef in New Caledonia, and we're just hooking up here. Hooked up to something. I don't think it's a bucket. I'm pretty sure it's an alternative to the vegetarian diet we've been enjoying. Can't hear you.
He's not hooked badly at all. I don't know what the hell it is. We're gonna get more of them.
What is it?
Ready?
You're gonna chuck him back in. Torpedoes.
New Caledonia, a special collectivity of France, one of the largest land masses in the South Pacific and home to what many believe to be the largest bonefish in the world.
Getting pumped up. This coffee is good.
Soul 45 RPM record.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what we were looking for last night, you know? They were playing good music, they just need to turn it up.
Morale was high upon reaching New Caledonia, especially after he met up with a local fly fisherman named Marc, with whom I had been emailing for months.
So this week you stay in Noumea?
No, we're going to leave probably tomorrow for the Southern Lagoon. We met Marc through Cam Sigler, who told us that Marc was an avid fisherman with some experience in bone fishing the north of New Caledonia. Marc was keen to fish with us because, even though he lives in one of the world's premier bone fisheries, he hardly knows any other people who fly fish. He was keen to compare notes and share knowledge of his beloved hobby.
I have a friend who caught one more than 1 meter. You know the... Incredible. I think it's a nice fight.
Do you like crabs? You use crabs?
Yes, yeah.
Crabs too.
When I catch a bonefish, after I change my fly. I try another...
Experiment.
Yes, experiment. I experiment, yeah.
He now had himself 3 very enthusiastic fishing buddies. We agreed to head up north with Marc after returning from the Southern Lagoon.
How many bonefish would you catch in a good day?
5
bonefish.
fish.
One day.
In 1 day, yeah.
But they're big, right?
Yeah. If you are lucky, you know, you can catch 10.
Look at this, you got,
Yeah.
oh, that's a dark one. That's...
An average size?
Yeah, this one.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice.
See the later. Does it make a big difference because the moon is nearly full at the end of the month, at the end of October?
We believed that the shallow water flats surrounding New Caledonia would be better suited to fly fishing than Vanuatu's steep drop-offs. We began our search for bonefish on some beautiful and expansive flats in southwest New Caledonia. These flats are formed and protected by the second longest double barrier reef in the world.
Look at how much he looks like a bone.
Yeah, wow.
Right there, I would think that was a bone. Probably what we saw yesterday. Spangled emperor, I think.
Little fish, huh?
Great sign.
While we got a couple nice fish, the wind prevented us from fishing effectively most of the time. and the rest of the time we saw nothing. We decided to head to one of the crown jewels of New Caledonia, the Isle of Pines, given this name by Captain Cook and nicknamed the closest island to paradise. But the first day of fishing was not very encouraging.
So, been a long fishless day. Not fishless, bonefishless. On this beautiful flat in New Caledonia. Pretty disappointing, really. Beautiful flat.
Yeah, I guess we're wake up early and try to figure it out tomorrow.
Blake and I are hungover. Drank a bottle of vodka last night. And now it's 6:30 and it's time to go fishing.
Thanks for shitting right next to my head there, Ben. All of a sudden I hear
multiple
turds flying
logs tumbling into the water.
I just felt the water piling up at the dam. Just let it all go.
So the current is going to be pushing across that shallow ridge into that back lagoon.
Yeah.
And whatever fish were in that back lagoon are going to be pushing up with their noses into the current.
I think when the water reaches a certain depth, the fish just go onto that big sand flat.
Conditions are perfect. We just gotta find the fish.
That was a bone?
That may have been a bone. Look at him go.
Holy shit. Yeah, dude.
That may have been a bonefish.
We just gotta find them. Figure out their schedule.
Yeah, there must
There's so much habitat. There's all kinds of little burrows in the sand. They said that there's bonefish over there.
All right, we're back in the wind, as you can tell. And we're gonna run upwind into this bay where there's a pretty nice flat that's framed by a couple windows. It has one nice channel that we staked out the other day. Through a number of different tides, we saw nothing.
I mean, we could easily run into a school of like 10, 20 bonefish today, even though we didn't see shit for the last 2 days.
Right.
I mean, I'm definitely not expecting to catch fish, but I'm hopeful enough to be in a good mood and be psyched to be here, you know?
We're getting shut down here pretty hard. Some unscrupulous Australians started a myth that there were bonefish here. That's beautiful habitat on Earth. Not here. So far.
Of course, bad fishing is only relative.
Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going.
Yeah! Yeah! Dude, grab the camera, grab the camera. Grab the camera. Come here.
Okay, I'm standing. Well, don't tip the boat, don't tip the boat.
Well, I think that's clear to viewers what just happened.
Going flats fishing. I like to fish about
Here, give me a hand quick.
5.5 foot flat. Pretty much ideal. I like to wait until it gets dark.
I really hope you're having fun.
I am.
Jeremy had obligations back in Colorado and had only one more day to fish.
Catch bonefish. It's coming down to the wire. I don't know what to do. But I feel like I've got more chances of catching one if I'm fishing than if I'm not fishing. You know, this is we have confirmed reports of bonefish right here on the incoming tide.
We're gonna get them.
I'm convinced that this is our best chance of the entire trip thus far to hook a bonefish.
I think so.
It better be, because it's my last day.
Now a month into the trip, I couldn't ignore the fact that I was failing at making a groundbreaking fishing film. At this point we had caught one large trevally on a plug, some red bass, some small trevally, a couple fish on trolled lures, and 0 bonefish. The wind continued to plague us. Our promises to sponsors were looking sillier all the time.
Oh, shit! Dude, nice Happy Gilmore swing.
Oh, Lord.
I think that perforated the nest there.
Take a run up to it.
Jeremy's leaving. Taking him to shore, leaving the expedition.
Yeah, piecing out of this expedition.
It's been a rough ride.
All right, brother. Good to meet you.
All right, Jeremy, take care, man.
Thanks
Thanks so much.
Safe
travels, huh?
Thanks, guys.
Hey, Jeremy.
Have a good trip home.
This is only the beginning.
Feels so much like the end now. See you soon.
Hey man, thanks.
It's not tough when it's cloudy and windy. That's when you know that you shouldn't be fishing. What's tough is when it's sunny and windy, or when it's cloudy and slightly less windy. But when you can't decide whether or not you should stay out there, and when you feel really silly and discouraged, sort of fertile moment for introspective kind of, you know, what am I doing here? Is it trying to catch fish? Is it, well, I mean, that's what it is, I guess. That's what it is.
Our confidence had been shaken. From the Isle of Pines we had tried to reach an uninhabited atoll for 5 days straight, and on each day the wind made it either unsafe or not worthwhile. We had been forced to fish near towns, which means we were competing with subsistence fishermen, and that is always a losing battle for the fly fisher. We were down to our last chance, and that chance's name was Marc.
Allez, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's
All
go
right.
to
We're going.
400 kilometers.
400 kilometers.
Yeah.
All right. To Kumak.
To Kumak.
Take us to the bonefish, Marc.
Uh-huh.
It's all in your hands now. Take us to the bonefish.
Marc, how do you say bonefish in French?
Bonefish.
Bonefish.
In French, poisson banane.
Poisson, banane.
Yeah.
And so banane means...
I don't know why. Maybe because it's you know, the back is
like a banana?
Yeah, maybe.
Banana is banana.
Yeah.
Like
Banana.
a yellow fruit.
Huh.
Huh. That's hilarious. Banana fish. Banana fish.
Yeah, banana fish, yeah.
Marc jumped on board our broken down skunk train with gusto. He didn't have to do anything for us. We had exhausted the potential of Numi, and just when we would have been dead in the water, Marc showed up and saved the day.
So we're here in the north of New Caledonia with our friend, guide, visa agent, sponsor, benefactor, host, cook liaison, bus scheduler, bank representative, Marc.
What?
Marc took us to his place up north and introduced us to his family.
You go, oh!
Oh! Yeah. A hook?
To welcome us to the north, Marc showed us the local crab catching technique.
Alors, the technique. Fish on the line, okay? We catch in the water, cast in the water, and we wait the crab come to hit the fish, and you pull very slowly, you know, and the crab always eating slowly, slowly, slowly. And with the nest, when you arrive in the nest, it's easy to say, but not so easy to do. Ok?
Ok, parfait. Merci.
Bon, j'essaye de lancer ça, ok? Don't laugh, hein? You cut the camera.
Oh!
Wow.
Oh, you got one.
Crab. We are reeling in a crab.
So,
skilled hands.
Oh! Oh my God! Is that?
It's a fish.
One line.
Oh my God, dude! I just made a big.
I love this guy.
Maybe a shark.
What?
Maybe.
We need to land him. This is essential that we land it if it's a shark.
So fun. Very funny. Sorry, we wanted.
Oh my God! It's a big fish!
C'est quoi ton poisson?
It's a poisson gross!
Holy shit!
It's huge! What? It's a stingray! It's a stingray! It's a ray.
See its tail.
Attention à la queue, Marc.
Definitely a stingray.
Faut couper.
Yeah, stingray.
How are we gonna
Faut
land it?
couper.
It's scary.
Should we cut it?
Voilà, le spectacle est terminé. $5 please per person. Okay, wait.
Alright, ready?
Oh, watch the ray, watch the tail. Cut.
Okay.
In the morning, once again we loaded up our stuff and headed to our final destination, Boat Pass, a known bone fishery in which Marc had personal experience. We would camp there for a week, with fishable flats right out our front door. The flats were rich and full of bonefish prey, and all signs seemed to indicate that our luck was about to change. But one thing didn't change.
That stuck around for 5 minutes. Here, I'll switch back over. I'm on your left. I'm on your left. I'm on your left. Yeah. Oh, you're in it. You're in it. Nope. Cast again. He's moving off it. Oh, there he fucking goes. For about 20 to 22 hours a day, we had gusting or sustained winds of between 15 and 35 knots, I would say. That's just sort of me estimating. But, you know, it's really windy, and fly fishing in the wind is kind of one of the silliest things you can do with your time.
You'd think with that with almost 2 months you'd have enough time, but it's just the wind doesn't ever stop here. It's always windy.
It's good to be absurd from time to time. And it's good to ask yourself,
Well, scratch that.
is it worth being here? Maybe not. Maybe.
It's not easy. I mean, a lot of things have to come together. The wind has to be such that you can cast. There has to be good visibility to see them. You have to be there at the right tide when the fish are actually there, and then you have to catch the fish without spooking it. All those factors. It's not that they never come together. But it's rare that they all coincide. And for us, anyway, really, really rare. Hasn't ever happened. Snapper. Snapperino. Dude, that fish pretty much just made the trip right there.
Any fish, Mark?
Nothing.
Nothing.
And you?
Nope.
No.
Nothing.
You know, this is gonna be hard. Nutmeg. We call it nutmeg, and it's like a spice, and you get it in like a small little nut, and you grate it. You know, like cheese, comme fromage.
Oui.
And like it's just a very small little nut.
Il veut mettre du fromage avec de l'ananas, c'est de la menthe, du nerf. Il le râpe comme le fromage. Le gruyère.
I don't care.
I know, good job.
Oh my god, it's funny. I don't care.
Our high expectations on this trip had been based on the assumption that we would be able to access remote atolls in the north and south of New Caledonia. Because of the weather and Dan's fatigue, we had run out of time to do any exploring in the north. Here, Marc saved the day again.
So Marc, is today the day for poisson banan?
Hope so. Yeah, hope so.
Mixed sunshine today, slight wind out of the southwest at about 10 knots. Gonna happen. Gonna happen.
With a boat, we had a chance to fish water that theoretically should see very little fishing pressure. We set out with high hopes, knowing that this one day could turn the whole trip around. The morning was as beautiful as they come. We saw sharks, which is always a good sign. I staked out a likely spot and casted for trevally.
I know, he's worried about his buddy. It's amazing.
I didn't even really fight that hard.
Sweet, baby. So you sighted him out? Alright, chiller.
And just like in the Isle of Pines, a few small trevally is all we caught. Just as we really started to get in the groove and pump ourselves up for an afternoon of hard fishing, the wind came up, and our day was pretty much over. But despite the wind, the relatively remote northern water we fished did not boil with fish as I had imagined, and as I had experienced in other parts of the South Pacific. The very well-stocked fish markets in Omea might have had something to do with that. Here, it was clear that we needed to put in our time, which we certainly thought we had been doing all along. As we returned to base, the wind punished us even more than usual.
Perfect timing for maximum elevation.
Oh, my ass! Oh, my ass is killing me! So it's day 40-something. We spent several days in the north. The wind's blowing really hard every day. Pretty iffy sunlight. Really hard conditions, but I feel like we should have caught bonefish by now, but we haven't. It's been really tough. I'm almost positive we've seen them.
Did it spook?
There's two of them. Yeah, they did. Oh no, there's another one. Is there? Can't be sure unless you catch them, and we haven't caught them yet. We need to figure it out. Make something happen because we don't really have anywhere else to go. North was kind of our last straw, and so far we've come up empty-handed.
And today I hooked a trevally in the eye and it got off, all except the eyeball. I reeled it in, fish gets off, there's this weight on my fly, the fish frickin' eye came out. Ripped its eyeball out. Not good. I kinda wanna quit fishing now, actually. I feel pretty bad about that one. At 24, it's easy to lose perspective. I had intended to produce a full-throttle, in-your-face bonefish and GT fish porn video with a hookup shot every other second. Anything less than that I considered a total failure. And as a recent college graduate with no clear career path, failure was a scary prospect. This was all I was, quote, doing with my life at the time. With our trip winding down, we decided to make our final stand in the camp water at Boat Pass. We had given up on next level footage by this point. We just needed to get a few fish on film to salvage what had been an extremely humbling trip.
A fishing trip which sees very little fish catching, it makes you ask questions of yourself that you wouldn't ask were you catching fish. If you were catching fish, it would be, this is sweet, I love catching fish, that's why we're here. But when you're not catching fish, it's, what are we doing here, really, you know? Why have we come all this way, set aside this time, invested not insubstantial amount of money, to come here and not catch fish, really, not even really see fish. You know, so in that sense, it's an opportunity for deep probing self-reflection and, you know, deep doubts about what one is really doing with one's life at 25. And so in that sense, you know, fishlessness is sort of cooler and better than catching fish. But there are other reasons too.
Your knots that you've been neglecting after days of totally pointless fishing. Not babying it, but not putting too much heat on my leg. Oh God, he's in the back again. You think it's a bone? They exist, Marc. They exist. I thought it was just some Australian Oh my God, it's fucking huge! Yeah! 24, I considered the entire trip a failure. At 33, I realized I had the wrong definition of success.